Hey everybody, it is time to unbox another Battlebox. Let's dive right into this thing. If you've been following this channel for a little bit, you probably know I have a love-hate relationship with Battlebox. I've gotten Battleboxes before that were absolute garbage, and I've gotten some that were super cool. And after a while, I decided that it was really kind of an expensive gamble. If you're at all a fan of Battlebox, you know that they don't come cheap, but every once in a while they'll have some super cool stuff in there. So I've gone back and forth from canceling my subscription to re-upping, and every once in a while they'll send me a message and they'll include an offer I can't refuse. And this was one of those cases. I ended up saving over $40 on this Battlebox because they sent me a substantial discount. I don't know what to expect from this. I did get a preview of some of the brands that are in this one, and there's a couple of them in here that I'm very curious about. So without further ado, let's dive into this thing. Let's see what's in this month's Battlebox. As you can see, it's a substantial sized box this month. It's not all that thick. It's a little on the heavy side. So let's cut this puppy open and see what we ended up with. Usually with videos like this, I get a lot of people that go on and on about how they don't care for subscription boxes, and I've addressed that in a couple of them, and that's fine. If you don't like it, then this is not where you choose to spend your money. But every once in a while, I get tempted back in, and I may have been a sucker this time around, but we'll find out. So this is Mission 96. I'll be really curious to see how Mission 100 goes, if that's going to be a pretty monumental thing. I may stick around for that one just to see what they do with it. Without dragging this out anymore, let's dive in here. All right, so the first thing we're going to pull out is a space pen. You can probably tell by my face I'm underwhelmed. The thing about some of these boxes is sometimes you get some really cool stuff, and sometimes you're left feeling like there's a whole lot of filler in it. So while this may be something that'd be a neat novelty gift, when you're paying the kind of money that Battlebox is charging for their box, that's not really the most impressive thing in the world. So it's a pen that writes in zero gravity. When am I going to go to the moon? Probably not anytime soon. Unless one of you listening has a whole lot of money and a lot of influence and wants to send me up in one of those low orbit space flights. Yeah, so I mean, this thing will write upside down and in a vacuum and all that kind of stuff. But I mean, honestly, it's a space pen. All right, so the next item is from My Medic. This is Z-Zips or Zips or I don't know, however you want to pronounce it. This is a first aid tool. Basically, if you have a significant cut, you can apply this to both sides of the cut, pull the little zips on it, and it will pull the sides together, kind of like a ad hoc suture. I mean, that's okay. I don't know what these things go for. That's a decent item to have in your kit. I can't say too much bad about that. Next up is an Ulti-clip. It's basically a clip that you bolt on to, I don't know if it's intended for firearms or if it's intended for knives or what, maybe a little bit of both, but it's designed for beltless carry. There's not a whole lot of detail on the label that says exactly what it's for, and I'm not terribly familiar with it, so I'd have to do a little bit of research to learn much about it, but that's the next item in here. So far, I'm not jumping up and down for this, but then again, who am I? So if you know much about the structure of Battlebox, you know that they have different levels. The items that I've already shown are included in the basic box. So if you bought the lowest end package, that's what you'd get. You would get these three items here. My first Battlebox, I ordered the basic box, and I got three very super crappy items in it that I was not a huge fan of. Honestly, this box is not much different. If I had just bought the basic box, I wouldn't have been real thrilled with this. For what they charge, now keep in mind, I'm not saying that the items themselves are garbage. I'm saying that for the amount of money that it costs, and shipping is pretty expensive with Battlebox too, and for what they charge for the basic box, I'd have been really disappointed if this was what I got. All right, so the next item is a pretty cool item. I've seen these a couple of times. The company makes a pretty good product. This is from Climate, and this is one of the Everglow light tubes. And essentially what it is this is an inflatable tube that you blow up, and it has LED lights in it. When you plug it into a USB source, it will light up, and they're super bright. They're also less likely to break because it's inflatable, so it's not like having a light bar that if you drop it, it's going to break. This is basically it's like a pillow with lights on it. And this thing's pretty, I'm gonna go ahead and break this open. There's no sense in keeping this one in the packaging. Okay, so it comes in this little bag. We get this out, and you can kind of see what we've got going on here. Brand name on the side. Now it is colored on one side, and what that's going to do is that's going to kind of push the light out through the clear side instead of having it diffuse out of this side, and then you end up with less lighting. So then you just kind of open it up here, blow it up. So that only took about 2 breaths to fully inflate it. It's a little on the limp side with that. I could tighten it up a little bit and make it a little bit better, but then I'm going to tighten it up a little bit more. And then you just take this and you plug it into your USB source. It becomes a light bar. I don't have anything to plug it into right this second, but you get the idea. I found myself looking at that item before, so that's not too disappointing. I actually like that. Oh look, we get a coupon for 20% off from Space Pen. And the last item, okay. The Climate Glow Stick takes it to the advanced box level. And then this next item is the Pro level. It's not the Pro Plus. I don't get the Pro Plus Knife of the Month Club box because generally I don't really care for people picking out knives for me as a grab bag thing. Every once in a while with something like this, I'd get a decent knife. Like the Mora knife that came with my welcome box to survival boxes several years ago, or the Open L knife that I got from them as well. Every once in a while you get something cool. Usually what you end up with is some goofy looking American flag knife that's made in Pakistan. So I don't spend my money on the Knife of the Month Club. But anyway, so this next item, it's the Zippo Axe Saw. I'm going to go ahead and start this off by saying I am not a gigantic fan of combining two dangerous tools into one. There's always something that goes wrong when you do this. One, either it does not work as effectively as it should, or it ends up in some kind of a dangerous arrangement where you find yourself not really able to trust working with one of the tools because the other one is so present right there. Let's open this thing up, see what it's all about. I mean, for all I know, this may be great, but always a little bit leery about a tool like this. Anyway, so we got some, you can get a little bit of a first-hand look at it. I'm gonna go ahead and take these zip ties and stuff off of here so that we can see exactly what this thing's made for. I'm also a little disappointed that the best name they could come up with was Axe Saw. Drop a comment down below and tell me if you created something like this, what would you call it? Because Axe Saw is kind of a little pedestrian, I think. So many cooler things that they could have come up with for it. All right, so you can see the way this works. You have an axe, you have a saw, and it's axe saw. The axe head cover becomes your handle for operating the saw. First impression of this is that the handle is super big. It's hard to get a good grip on that. It's also really hard to get a good indexing on it in a way that enables me to hold this comfortably and imagine cutting something with it. In order to hold it at the right angle that I'd need for sawing, I have to like really tuck it far into the heel of my hand, and my fingers don't really wrap around it. I don't know, there's not a whole lot of great angles for that. There's a little, feels like a hammer butt on this where you could hit things, but I don't really feel like you could hit that very hard. So the head comes off somehow. I can't figure out how to get this cover off. Oh, wait a minute, there we go. All right. Well, this thing's kind of a pain. And I know somebody's sitting there yelling at the screen right now going, read the instructions. We don't do that here. The instructions are overly complicated. Anyway, so down at the bottom, down here at the end of the saw, this comes down, loosens up, detaches the saw blade. You take that little cover off. That also allows you to take the head off. Okay, so I see how this works. So this is designed so that when the axe cover comes off, the saw blade will not attach, which is, I mean, that's actually pretty smart design. So there you see the axe itself. Seems like a decent enough blade. Once again, the design of it, because it's designed to have that integrated saw, it's not the most comfortable thing on the hand. There's this gap down at the bottom where you would hold it if you were using it to split wood or what have you. And then there's the attachment point for the saw blade that sticks out down here, something to snag your fingers on. And it's just not the most comfortable thing in the world. You really have to choke up on it to make it comfortable in the hand. But I mean, it'll probably get the job done, but I wouldn't want to use this to process a lot of wood, just because I feel like the grip that you have to hang on to this with would start to hurt your hands after a while. So we put our saw blade in place right here, put this back on the head of the axe, close it up, and then screw this part down. And this kind of closes this cover right here. We attach the end of the saw blade here, then fasten that down. That puts the tension on the saw blade. It holds everything in place. We can finish tightening that up. And there we have our saw. I'm not a fan. I don't like the way the grip feels on this. I don't feel like I've got a good secure grip. And honestly, it seems like I would probably cut through a couple of little pieces of wood and my hands would hurt so bad that I wouldn't be able to do any more. It's just not ergonomically sound. It's designed for, it's almost too kitschy. They went for this design of having a saw and an axe in the same piece, and they didn't stop to go, will it be comfortable to use? It's the Jurassic Park approach of, yeah, we could, but Should we? And in this case, Zippo, no, you really shouldn't have. This right here would probably be my last choice of a tool to take with me and keep on hand for using at camp. I don't know if it has any way of stowing the saw blade, or if that's just got to be out like that the whole time. Let me consult the instructions. Things I do for you guys. Okay, so the answer is yes. This is designed so that the saw blade can come off, and you open up the bottom, the saw blade goes into the handle and it's out of the way. So let's do that real quick, just for giggles. All right, so we're gonna take that off, gonna remove this. And we're gonna drop the saw blade inside. I don't know which way it goes. There you go, ooh. Okay, note to self, before messing with this, put the cover back on the axe head. I just cut my finger. All I did was drop it down and it caught right there, and that is a super sharp point right there. Maybe breaking these out to kind of fix that. So then once we've got all that, we put this back on, close it up, tighten that down, close this, and everything's included all inside. I mean, sure, I want to say it's cool, I don't want to say it's fun, because it's really not. I mean, man, I hate to be negative about a product like this. I like Zippo as a company for lighters. I really wish they would just stick with what they do best, because this is not a terribly well thought out product. It has too many problems built into it that really there's not a way to resolve with this design. It would take a total redesign in order to make this something that I would feel comfortable using. And that's what's in Battlebox Mission 96. This one was a letdown. I'm disappointed. I like the light tube. That's something I'll probably use. The zips, I'll put that in my first aid kit. Hopefully I'll never have to use that. The Ultra clip, I'll figure out exactly what that's for. See if it's something I'm going to be able to use. The space pen, I'll probably throw it in my car so I have a pen that can write upside down in zero gravity in the event that my car ever drives off a cliff. And for that few seconds of 0G as I go down, I'll be able to write a note to my family. So what do you think about Battlebox Mission 96, or just Battlebox in general? What's been your experience with them? And seeing what's in this box, would this make you want to buy something from this company? I think this is my second least favorite box from Battlebox. I'm disappointed that it didn't wow me more than it did. When I saw there was going to be a Climate product in there and a Zippo product in there, I got a little bit excited. But, you've heard my opinion on both of those items, and that's going to bring this one to a close. And until the next video, prepare for the world that you live in, not the one you wish existed. We'll see you next time.